How's your hard drive and how fast your hard drive is, that kind of thing. If you're working on one of the newer laptops that have an SSD drive in it that's limited in capacity, then you might need to limit it quite a bit. But otherwise, if you have a large hard drive and such, 1 gig is usually going to be fine. But if you want to knock it up a little bit, you're going to be able to hold more previews in there. It's just a matter of how much space you have on your drive and how much you're willing to give up for something that is just a little bit of a convenience factor and make things show up faster the next time you view them. But it's not critical. Okay? All right. All right, now let's talk a little bit more about adjustments. Just want to make sure we covered the preference ideas so that if it's Lightroom mastery, we need to be able to know what most of that stuff does. All right. When we're in the Develop module, I'll press D to get there, we have all these adjustments that we've been talking about. We have the basic adjustments, which we went over on the first day. We have the tone curve, which we went over today. HSL, we went over, I think, the first day. Split toning, we've already talked about. When it comes to tinting black and whites, I also use split toning, by the way, to warm up shadows. If I have the dark parts of my image are looking too cool, I can go here to shadows and say, let's pump a little blue in them, and just put a little hint of blue in them to make it so that, or not blue, I'm sorry, kind of a reddish orange, because they'd already be too blue. What happens is in the shadowy areas of your image, it's the blue sky that's illuminating them instead of the warm sun. But that's one way you can get a little bit more warmth in your shadows. We talked about split toning. We haven't talked about detail. And we haven't talked about camera calibration. Those are the two spots we have left. So, camera calibration. We have talked about this menu. That menu is where you can switch between older versions of Lightroom's processing. It's mainly so you can keep old files that you've adjusted in the past looking consistent, that they allow this. So when I go to 2012, which should be the default with this version of Lightroom, I get the most modern sliders when it comes to my adjustments. If I go to 2010, it'll show me the kind of adjustments I could have in the previous version of Lightroom. Below that, we have something called Profile, and here are some preset profiles. And this is going to change the way the colors in my image are rendered in general. It's similar to switching different brands of film. Going from Kodak film to Fuji film to whatever other brand, each one would render the colors differently. So if I click here, Adobe Standard is what you've been applying to every image if you've never looked at this. But look at the image and see if you can see a difference. When I choose Camera Faithful, you see it shift a little bit. When I choose Camera Landscape, when I choose Camera Neutral, Camera Portrait, and Standard. Now, I don't like having to switch between all these things, clicking each time for each one. I just want to be able to see my image very quickly with each one of the settings. So what I suggest you do is in the Develop module, go over here and make a set of presets. And all the preset would change on your picture is this menu. Because do you remember with presets how you can mouse over them like these? And right up here you see an instant preview of what it would look like on your image. Well, if you want to see which one of these would be best for any particular image, why not save them all as presets? And then all you have to do is mouse over each one, up and down like this, where you look at that preview. Once you find the one that renders the colors in the most satisfying way, click on it, and it'll be applied to your picture. I find that to be much more satisfying than randomly picking at this menu. Does that make any sense? You can also fine-tune that more. So instead of just using one of these, you can come down here and fine-tune things. Behind the scenes, your images are made out of red, green, and blue. Every little pixel that makes up your image has a certain amount of red, a certain amount of green, and a certain amount of blue. Here we can control what color that underlying red is our image is made out of. We can control what color of green